Go to getamazonnow.com and give a gift card.
Welcome to humanity. This is our one.
Whatever it takes, we got to stop. Whatever it takes is what it took.
This is Brock Lesnar, and you're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Yo, hi, this is Sugar Ray Leonard, and you listen to Fight Net Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to listen to Fight Net Radio.
Me, Harvey Oswald, what's your name? I know how am I supposed to know you?
This is Frank Shamrock. You're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Hi, this is Nia, the Knockout St. John. You're listening to Fight Net Radio, and there's no way I would ever touch Lee.
This is Chuck Jackson.
I am Stephen Bonner, and you're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Dan Henderson, you're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Everybody, welcome to Fight Net Radio, where Lee's burning every bridge there is out there. All right.
Hi, this is Manny Pacquiao. I'll fight anybody on FightNetRadio.com.
Whatever it takes, we got to stop. Whatever it takes, all the truth for whatever it takes. This is our show where whatever it takes, 'cause we ain't got nothing to whatever it takes.
I am the king of the world. Hold it. Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I took up the world.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fight Net Radio. My name is Lee Hannes, joined by Andrew Lamachenko. Today on this program, this is a boxing program. The password is boxing. If you like fighting, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts, whatever, sign up. Go to Fight Net Radio, and it'll take you directly to a show you can listen to. I am joined, of course, on the boxing program by Andrew Lamachenko, writer, friend, and passionate believer in the sport that I become more disillusioned with by the day. Why exactly? I'm looking at the news, Andrew, and by the way, we went back to it. For those of you who don't know the format of the show, Andrew is a writer and cares way more about boxing than I seem to half the time. That's true.
You're older, Lee. You're older.
I'm jaded. I do remember going to great fights, even when they were throwaways.
That's what I mean. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the format of the show, we're going back to a very original format where Andrew actually wrote the news that I will read. Andrew will then comment, and then I will say something embarrassing that will make most of you laugh if I do it correctly. I do have a feature at the end of the news stories, as you could tell from the title. I'm going to save it for Andrew. He doesn't know that there's a featured story this week. It's one that he likes. It's one of his favorite topics. And I found this one on accident. So I will save that at the end of news because based on our news this week, it's going to take 12 minutes to go through the news. I mean, there ain't nothing here. The bigger debate is going to be on the feature story. So we start off with Cotto versus Kirkland being off. Kirkland broke his nose during sparring. I knew about this earlier in the week. Everybody's been toying with wanting a replacement for the fight, which is even worse than Kirkland. My position is this. It was an abomination of a fight to begin with that they were going to try it. I'm right? They wanted to put this in Texas Stadium.
Yes. Yeah. Frisco State, Texas.
Do they think that this really would fill any stadium in America?
No, and I think that's why this fight got canceled. You know, they can call injury, yes, that's to save face. But listen, when this fight got signed, we had heard that Rock Nation owed Miguel Cotto $16 million for his last fight. Lee, there was no way, even with this being on pay-per-view, that this was going to make $16 million for them or Cotto. So I think Rock Nation would rather cut their losses on this fight and try to start up a new one that's actually going to build some momentum. And the two names right now that are being thrown around, I think, are actually ticket sellers. One, you got Kell Brook over in the UK. That would be an instant sellout if Brook and Cotto met out there. And then you got the Juan Manuel Marquez name being thrown around. They're saying negotiations are starting up with that fight again. I think that fight in Las Vegas, Lee, does great. I think in Madison Square Garden, it's a sellout. So whoever at Rock Nation, they woke up. They seen what kind of disaster they're about to go through with this Kirkland Cotto, and they pulled back.
Yeah, that is a distinct possibility. The fight was awful. I mean, and now that there's like some kind of weird boxing around of making it Canelo Kirkland again, like Canelo Cotto again. I've seen a lot of names thrown around for Cotto again, and I'm getting the distinct feeling he should just this is a big word, quit.
Well, there's $16 million on the table, Lee, so I don't see him quitting. I like the Marquez fight. I think that's the fight ultimately they're going to try to go with if Marquez will agree with the catch weight. I think that's what was the holdup in the first round of negotiations is Miguel wanted to come in a little bit too heavy for Marquez. If Marquez can somehow work that deal out, I think that's the better fight of the two names for Miguel Cotto, and I think it's one that fans want to see. That's one of those dream matchups you think you would only get on the EA Sports boxing game, but no, it would actually come true, and Marquez Cotto would be a throwdown. Neither of those guys are backing up on that night. It's an excellent matchup.
Yeah, no.
To me, Lee, Cal Brook, I think is a 3.5 to 1, 2 to 5 favorite against Cotto. I don't even think that's really that much of a fight. Cal Brook's way too light on his feet. He's too fast. He's got power. I don't like that matchup for Cotto at all. Not right now. Not at his age. The Marquez fight, that's sellable. There's a lot there. I don't know.
Marquez hasn't fought in 14 years.
It doesn't matter. Right now, the state of boxing, I think the Marquez fans show up for that. We haven't paid for a good fight in a while. I think Cotto Marquez, I think they have enough on their resume that would make the fans at least give it a shot for the first one. Not saying they can...
I got to be honest. I've got a rule of thumb about watching boxing. If you haven't fought in more than a couple of years and you have more scar tissue than face, why are you boxing?
Well, for this one, it's the $16 million on Cotto's side. For Marquez, I really don't know. Marquez has flirted with retirement for a while now, so this could just be a payout for him. Who knows? Lee, all I'm saying is for this one night, for this fight, I think both of their fan bases would show up. I'm not saying they can turn this into a trilogy, but if these two showed up, I think they sell out. I really do. Marquez Cotto, to me, for both of them in their age and where they're at, this is the best fight for them. I don't know if Nacho Bernstein will be there to train Marquez now. If you've seen in the notes, did you hear what Nacho announced this week?
No, what did Nacho announce this week?
He's going to be training Chavez for Canelo.
That's in the notes? Where do I see this in the notes?
Oh,
I don't see a Chavez. You didn't put a Chavez Jr. update? No, sorry.
Yeah, no, I put it right there where Trinidad said Chavez is going to get knocked out. I was supposed to update that one. Sorry, bro.
That's all right. Well, we can cover that story as well. You just took two off the board. By the way, that is how weak news is this week. Let's take number 8 off the board. So Felix Trinidad went on record, and he believes that Canelo will knock out Chavez. Why do I care what Trinidad say?
I don't know. He's a legend.
I mean, I don't. No, he's not.
Yes, what are you talking about?
If he had beaten Bernard Hopkins, I would call him a legend.
Some call him one of the greatest Puerto Rican fighters of all time.
That's a shallow pool.
Oh, wow. All right.
I mean, I don't want to be that much of a jerk, but if you're going to put Trinidad as one of the best Puerto Rican fighters of all time, that's a shallow pool.
He had a pretty good run.
No, he didn't. He had a pretty padded run.
You're telling me that David Reed or Fernando Vargas fight aren't some of the best junior middleweight bouts you ever seen?
Now that you know what you know about Fernando Vargas, do you think that Fernando...
No, but at that time, he's undefeated, Lee. He's the champ, and no, you can't do that because life is about timing.
Hey, based on that, Deontay Wilder is killing it.
That's like saying Eric Morales gets no credit for beating Pacquiao because look at what Pacquiao turned into late in his career. No, right. You can't. It's all about timing. And that time, Trinidad went up against two undefeated junior middleweight champs, and they were classic bouts. Now, yes, part of the reason is because Trinidad goes down and gets up and wins. David Reed had Trinidad on the brink of stopping him, but no, he was a great fighter. You know, you had the Oscar De La Hoya fight. For however you score it, it's still a great fight. Oscar put on a hell of a show, and then he got tired and got worked late. That's all that happened in that one. But it's not like that was a boring fight. If you like boxing, what Oscar De La Hoya was doing that night for the first 8 rounds is almost perfection in what you want as a boxer in the sport. It was a great fight, and Trinidad hung in there and came on late. Part of it's because Oscar stopped fighting, but oh well, that's what happens, you know.
I'm just being honest. If I'm going to apply the same set of rules of me being a hater, look, it's the rules of being a hater. If I'm going to be a hater because people are padding their records in the PBC and not fighting fights, right? And the minute that they do fight a fight, they get beat, right? A la Danny Garcia. Why wouldn't I apply the same set of rules to a Felix Trinidad?
Well, because he fought a lot of good fighters in his career, Lee. Now, he lost to two of the best.
Now, if you talk styles make fights and you've got a guy who can uniquely beat an individual, when you're talking like Frankie Randall, who's just a complete random guy who beat Chavez, right? That's just a completely random event.
And
that happens in boxing.
Right.
We saw that with Burchell last weekend. Completely random event. And that's why we watch boxing. We watch boxing for the random event. We watch it for the 100-1 underdog to go in there on a Tuesday night fight against,
sometimes, but obviously, yes, people enjoy that in the sport when the underdog beats the favorite, but you also watch boxing to see two of the best fighters in the world. You mix it up in the ring, too. That's why those fights sell for the most.
I get that. I'm not taking down big fights. Big fights are a different creature altogether.
And that's what we have. And that's what we're starting to have on May 6th here, Lee.
I'm talking about complete lunch pail Monday through Friday boxing, right? And I know if you're a regular boxing fan, you know this, but if you're a casual fan, let me help you out. There this week, without me even looking it up, let's be realistic. There's 300 pro fights going off this week, somewhere in the world, all week long. If you really added them all up.
Oh, yeah. No, anyone can go to BoxRec and look at the schedule.
And it's heavy, right? Around the world. It is the sport. Why? You don't need much. You need a ring, a ref, somebody to sanction it, and it's a pro fight, and it matters, right? It winds up in the rankings. I guess that's why I watch it. I just try to apply the same rules. I don't know how I got on such a tangent about Trinidad.
The bigger news in this one, Lee, is that Nacho is training Chavez. How is that going to affect this fight? Because look at right now, he now has the lead in trainer going up against each other. The Ronaldos have nothing against Bernstein. And this is really going to make Nacho's career legendary. If he can somehow get Chavez through the training camp, have him come in on weight, which many doubt. It's not just Fight Net Radio that's doubt. You see it all over across the board. People are doubting the 165 limit for Chavez. And then actually not make Chavez a Nacho fighter, but bring out what Chavez does best to beat Canelo. There's so many aspects of this fight for Nacho Bernstein that's going to make him a legend if he can pull this off. It's an excellent fight. I'm telling you, this fight got a little bit closer. It's not even, but with him in the corner, he's not. Look, this is what's going to happen. Either Chavez is going to come in focused, ready, and on weight, or Nacho's going to drop him about a month before the fight and tell everyone won't do a fucking thing I say.
All right, I'm gonna make this abundantly clear. Nacho's getting paid, just like Freddie got paid. That's it. He'll be there all the way.
Well, and then that's going to hurt his legacy also. If he gets flatlined by the Reynosos, Canelo?
I just
I don't think he
picture
wants that.
Chavez sitting there by the heavy bag eating a ham sandwich.